how this came about was I got to my rock bottom over this 11 years that I've been on this journey out of homelessness and into entrepreneurship, into where I am today. We had a moment, and my mom had said, "You re-earned your name." That was my championship, and that fires me up. Cause when my crew ride up, the sky gon' light up.
Everybody get fired up. Welcome to the Fired Up Podcast. Reignite is a 10X licensed business coaching program, and we love to talk to 10X people with a great story, people who are fired up, like my friend here, Timothy Jones. So for those of you who don't know Timothy, you're going to really learn about him and Colorful Voices. They're on a great mission, and I'm so excited that we got the chance to be introduced, and I think the world needs to be introduced to you if they haven't already. So why don't we give it up there?
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I am fired up.
Nice.
Yes. It's that great energy.
Absolutely.
And I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for allowing me to come on your platform. Colorful Voices is it's not the first of its kind yet.
Tell us, what is Colorful Voices?
Colorful Voices is a defense contracting firm. We specialize in grief and trauma mitigation. My specialty is in sexual assault and abuse crisis services. Immediately when you think of that, that's a tough topic.
Sure.
It's a tough conversation. And the reason I'm fired up is that I'm a crime survivor for my time as a child and became a violent crime survivor for my time in the military. And the journey that I've placed myself and been on has really helped inform Colorful Voices. And today and now, we are on our next season and our next phase of really completing training. I say completing training, but completing training for all branches of the military, of college institutions. We want to go out into communities and spread the message of mental hope, healing, and action.
Wow, that's a great mission, but it starts from a powerful story, and you certainly have one. And I'm curious though, with your why. How did you? I guess why turn from what could be victimhood and really taking this to yourself in the way that you did to go out and be a bridge for others, be maybe a voice for others who didn't have one?
Wow. So in order to share that, this is going to be a little tough. It actually, how this came about was I got to my rock bottom. My rock bottom was I had a friend come at me and say the only thing of value I'll ever do was serve my country. And I couldn't do that correctly. And that pissed me off.
Yeah. Because
they didn't know my story.
Yeah.
They only saw where I was. And where I was at the time was a, drug addicted, alcoholic, drowning my pain away, actively trying to die. I was actively trying to die in my decisions every day because I did not want to be the person that I was. I felt I had dishonored my uniform and service, all because of my behaviors and actions. And it wasn't until my third attempt to complete unaliving myself that I had a divine intervention. I had a moment of clarity where I looked up into the sky, and I always say when I would look up in the sky, it would be unmanicured. But this day, it was a clear sky like we have today, but I could see it.
Yeah.
And it was this light, just filling the darkness in me. And I remember saying, listen, I don't know who's up there, but if you clean my life up, I'm done. I will do what I have to do. I will not give up. I will do the work hard. And the reason for that is the visual that was coming to my mind at the time, and this is part of my journey, is when I saw my friend, my shipmate in Japan, who I served with after he unalived himself. That visual still haunts me now from someone that I love. And I didn't want my brother walking in on that site because I know what it would have done to him. And so if that's not going to be the option, I got to go this direction. And if I go this direction, what's it going to lead to? And then it led to jail.
Wow.
Because I had to be accountable to my behavior.
Sure.
But there is where I was introduced to the Department of Veteran Affairs. The VA came to me in jail and actually had a 3-hour, her name was Kathy Monson.
Okay.
I have to pay tribute to her. She listened to me for 3 hours and 45 minutes. And after that conversation said, have you ever heard of PTSD? I was like, yeah, but it don't apply to me.
Right, that can't be me. Yeah, sure.
I'm a rape survivor. I didn't go to combat. She was like, no, my brother, you are a card carrying member.
Yeah.
And so I had answers. And when I went back to that cell, brother, I was like a kid in Christmas. I was fired up.
Yeah.
You were. I was like, hey, y'all, I got PTSD, y'all. She said I got PTSD. And everyone in jail was like, the hell is PTSD? And then they stepped away from me.
Yeah.
But I had the answer.
Yeah.
And if I have the answer, I can do something about it.
Okay. Yeah. You were able to give it a name and then go from there.
Exactly.
Right. So how did that lead to Colorful Voices? What's the transition from the victim, from the really paying your dues, incarceration, to I'm going to go out there and be the voice for others. What's that like?
Man, when I got out of jail and started going to school and then started really engaging in society again, I was informed numerous times that I'd never have a job outside of McDonald's that would pay a livable wage, not even a livable wage, but a wage. And I didn't accept that. I couldn't accept that because it was in jail that someone who had I was like, man, my life is over. I'm going to have a felony. And he was like, you have a felony? Yeah, I'm going to have a felony after this. He's like, oh, you're fine. I got 26. I was like,
yeah.
But it was that moment where I'm like, okay, I am going to be fine. I'm going to do the work hard. And when they said I wouldn't be able to do it, I'm like, oh, you don't know me. I'm going to find a way. Yeah. And so if you don't want to, if I'm not going to get hired, I'm going to create Colorful Voices. And I'm going to find a way to take all of that I've gone through and find a way to, number one, make it profitable, but be able to help other people. And that was what I was on fire, and how that came. And then so Colorful Voices, a homeless veteran sharing a story, he was like, this is what I get paid to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can do that. I like talking.
Sure.
And more importantly, I love people.
Yeah.
And I have something to say.
Right. And you have something to give, for sure. Yeah.
I want to be used up. When that dash happens, I wanted to be able to say, Timothy has used every single thing up and has left all that he could. And I get that from my mom.
That's great.
Get it from my dad.
Yeah.
And I come from a military family that all proudly served the country. And how can I not be used up? We're a family of servants and wanting to be part of this community and life. And Colorful Voices has given that back to me.
That's great.
Like, I'm grinning from ear to ear because I'm living my dream. And this was a dream that today that I did not think was possible in this manner.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, as you've built your dream, what are the one or two challenges that just stand out in your mind that you had to overcome?
So I'm not going to say finances because everyone's going to say that.
It's universal, right?
It's universal. Financial is always universally thing you have to overcome.
But I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. What I am going to say is the first thing I had to overcome was me. I had to overcome all of the previous experiences of my life, the previous experiences of other people's lives. And when I also say me, I also needed to get the tools to be successful. So once I recognized that there was going to be adversity, once I accepted the adversity, then I had to accept that I am not as good as I like to think that I am.
Sure.
I'm not as articulate as I like to think that I am at that time. However, there's education, there's ways to get better. It's just muscles. So I started pouring that into myself. And before I could afford being mentors, I just YouTubed it. I was like, wait a minute, I want to be a speaker. Let me YouTube Grant Cardone. Let me YouTube Lisa Nichols. Let me YouTube Les Brown. Let me see how the greats are doing it, and let me learn. And that was my course in university.
That's great. Yeah. And
so that was my first one.
That's your first one, yeah.
My second I would say my toughest challenge was then finding a team that understood me and also understood the mission, that could buy in. And that's going to lead into one of our other questions. And that took time, and it takes time because you're focusing on your own mental health while building a company. So it wasn't like I could, and I was homeless.
Okay. Wow.
So it's like, that takes time and that takes patience. And you have to be patient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do. And clearly you've shown the patience and the resilience to get to where you are today. I'm going to go into something here and just talk about the team because you brought that up a little bit. And you know, as you're building that team, what was the challenge to get people to believe in your vision?
And we always like to say the outside challenges. The first biggest challenge was internal. It was needing to, me getting to a place where I had to build out every different facets of my life in the team. So as a veteran with PTSD and an MST survivor, the first team I needed to build was my VA care team. Who is my therapist? Who and where, when is my therapy appointments? Ensuring that I can be my best by having the tools to number one, take care of my mental health. Now, once I was able to do that, now I understood I'm a relationships-based individual that loves to get the results based upon creating and crafting integrous, healthy relationships and connections. Now, the reason that was important is with a therapist and mental health, you can actually connect in a healthy manner versus not having those tools. And that helped really it allowed me to be open to other ideas. Colorful Voices is my baby, and a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we have to step away from our babies to allow other voices to come in, to form. We are actually, in our businesses, we're singing a song. We're like any other artist. And for that song to really sing, it takes diverse voices and populations. And so finding that challenge and then allowing the process to play out, that helped me with my team. And when I got constructive feedback, I allowed it to seep into myself, and I listened. And I found out that was probably I'm like, oh man, that was the best decision I did. Just listen to y'all.
Need that. Yeah. And I think as we grow, as entrepreneurs, as we try to grow our business and see what works and what doesn't, you're going to learn things that you would do differently. And I'm sure if you look at your story, you can probably pick out a few things that you might have done differently along the journey. If you do have those, I'd be interested to hear that.
Oh man. There are many instances that I would do differently. And what I would do differently is, I mentioned earlier, I love to talk. Those moments, what I would do differently is I would listen more. There were a lot of gems, like my mom and other mentors growing up and just in random conversations, they dropped a lot of gems that I didn't necessarily feel that had any value to me, or I could get anything out of it, so I didn't pay that close of attention. Now looking back, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, those are big gems. I should have listened a little bit more to really catch what was happening in those moments, to soak that in. And that's what I would do differently, and that's what I do differently now. I take moments. There'll be moments where I'll take a 5-second pause or 10-second pause. We've had conversations, and I'll take a pause in that moment to appreciate just what's happening. And then once I take that pause, I continue on. And that way it reminds me to listen. And it also reminds me to be open to what's happening, not just in the conversation, but what's the moment, what led to the conversation, where are we having the conversation?
Yeah.
All of those little things. How did I get to the conversation today?
Right.
Did I take the bus? Did I drive my car? And then I'm like, oh, that's what makes this day beautiful. And I heard this say at CBS this morning. Gentleman was like, oh man, I have this dog who just wakes up every day like it's the best day ever. And I'm like, I know. We woke up.
Yeah.
We made it. And we have another opportunity here to impress upon others that they're valued and they made it as well. That's awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Yeah.
Fired up.
If that doesn't make you feel fired up when you get in the morning, get up in the morning, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
And so that connection to your mission is critical.
Yeah. And if you have children, like those little things. So when you go out into the world, you can go out there and know like, hey, we made it.
Right.
We made it together. Let's go out here and do what we do.
Yeah.
And that's win.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. and so winning requires you to keep learning.
Yes.
And so what you talked about was listening, and you can't learn if you're not listening, if you're not open to ideas, if you're not open to hearing what someone else has to say, if you're sort of closed off from that. And the other thing I took from what you're saying is that, take stock of what's around you and take some gratitude for what the people we have and the connections in our life. Because, if you just got up and said, oh, I don't want to be, I'm tired, I don't want to get up and do this today, but instead you could stop, take a pause, like you said, you're like, man, I'm alive. I've got all this opportunity. I got all these people I love around me, and I got something to go do today. Just that moment to take a pause would change the trajectory. Yes. Versus just like, oh, I'm real tired. I don't want to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it changes your energy.
Yeah.
It changes. And then you're like, I want more of that.
Right.
I love when I'll stop and I'll look at the bridge and I'll go, wow, this is awesome. And I'll see tourists here who are just walking, but then they see me stop and then they stop.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, yeah. And then you can feel the energy shift. And that's really also with Colorful Voices. It's here for us to create an alternative to the conversation. Yeah. It's a reminder that we are much more similar than we ever are different.
Absolutely.
As a veteran, as a Black, gay veteran, I see the love from everybody, every color, every creed, every political spectrum that pours into me, and that has poured into me over this 11 years that I've been on this journey out of homelessness and into entrepreneurship, into where I am today. And that fires me up because everyone does need to hear that. That's part of my story, but it's also part of the American story.
Yeah.
There are so many people who have poured in their resources, paid taxes, to ensure that we can eliminate veteran homelessness. And here we are having a wonderful success story that does show just how that can transform a life of a family. And to put that out there, because it's no longer my story. Like it's our story.
Right.
It is that type of a journey of recovery and resilience and thriving.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And considering all of that, the journey, the people whose lives you've touched, their stories, what's your proudest moment? What are you most proud of with Colorful Voices?
You ask, oh man. So I want to shout out everybody real fast.
Okay.
My mentors, my coaches, my family, my friends, every person who waved back at me throughout any time of my life. I've recently won a few awards that we were recognized with. One being the Syracuse University IVMF Entrepreneurship Bootcamp for Veterans 2023 Captain Melvin T. Stith Pioneer Award. Colorful Voices was honored by Navoba as one of their LGBTQ plus Veteran Business Enterprises of the Year.
Yeah.
The award we won was the LGBTQ plus Veteran Business Enterprise We Love Award. To answer your question, what is my proudest achievement and moment right now? It is being able to say thank you, because I share those awards are not mine. Those awards are ours. That is my proudest moment, to say, hey, your time, your investment, your love, you who are getting up every day doing the work. I haven't even met you yet,
right?
But you doing this is why I continue to get up and get fired up. My proudest moment is being able to share those moments and milestones with those whom I love. I love everybody.
Yeah.
So I literally love everyone, and I get that from my mom. And so sharing that's inspirational, Timothy. I will give you, I'm going to give you and the viewers here a little special treat.
Yeah.
And I'll share something privately.
Okay.
That my proudest moment to date, there was a time where I felt I dishonored my name and my family's name. And I had walked 200 miles from Pensacola, Florida to Tallahassee to raise awareness for homeless veterans in the state of Florida.
Back up a second. You walked 200 miles.
Yeah. Just let that in there.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I couldn't let that go by. Wow.
I wasn't comfortable calling myself a veteran before then, but after that walk, I could. And my mom and I, and Trent Soto, who I did the walk with, we had a moment, and my mom had said, "You've re-earned your name." And I was so proud. But she was like, "When I heard your voice when you were in jail, and I talked to you on the phone, I knew you were back. I knew then."
Yeah.
Because you were focused. That this was the Timothy that I knew and know.
Yeah.
And I knew you were going to get back here. That's my proudest moment.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
So, and I prefer Timothy. When folks if you see me and I say it's Timothy, you now know why I prefer Timothy over Tim. My mom named me Timothy, and she would always call me Timothy. And so when she said that, I was like, Timothy, that's my name. That's who I am. I'm proud of that, all of that.
Yeah.
So that's my private, personal moment, which is public for everyone. I love it.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's so powerful too. Yeah. And I'll ask you one more follow up to that. It's just, if you can go back to that point, is what's that like to hear your mother saying, "You're back. You earned your name."
Wow. I hadn't thought about that. So that's a great follow up. It's like winning the Super Bowl. It's like that first moment in your life where you didn't think you could do something and you did it.
You did it. Yeah.
Or that moment you lost the championship And then you came back the next year. You worked really hard. And you won. That was my championship. I love my family. I love those aspects. And thinking that I dishonored them, I look to the times that I actively tried to not be present, mm-hmm. and I was very grateful that I was. It also makes, because I have to, and because I love I'm real, raw, and authentic. Yeah. It also helped that when I got into issues again, because I have PTS, so that's always healing in action. So when they showed up, it also made it easier for me to reach out to get help. Yeah. And what I say is, it took me 23 years to get service connected to get to this place here, but it only took me 5 to really, when I hit my rock bottom. At this time, it really wasn't my rock bottom because of the resources and support, and it allowed me to bounce back faster.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So after coming up to a high like that,
yeah,
I got to ask, what's next? What's next for you? What's next for Colorful Voices?
Man, I am excited for what's next.
All right.
So there's a few things that's what's next. Is upcoming October, we have there's an Out at Work panel that I'm participating in for Three Rivers Business Alliance, again, representing Colorful Voices. And then the big thing, November 5th, we are having our first event, our first major event, and it's our mental health symposium. It's Mental Hope, Healing, and Action. We're going to be coming to cities across the country. And really what Mental Hope, Healing, and Action is about is that alternative conversation. Yeah. It really is to support our workers, our advocates who are out there doing great work, but also to our community. All communities that are hurting. We want to get them out there to see that there is value and help in getting mental hope supports. We have our amazing speaker, Mr. Philip Brashear, who is going to be gracing our stage. Mr. Philip Brashear is the son of the legendary master diver, Carl Brashear. He himself is as a friend and mentor and a decorated Army veteran and a war veteran and hero and pilot. And his story, he has a fantastic story.
Yeah.
And he is going to share that and share memories of his dad with the community here in Pittsburgh. Introducing him, we have Mr. Sean Callaghy, and who is just a beast in what he does with the Unblinded Mastery team. And we have Dr. Vanessa Guyton, who is going to be speaking. She is executive director of Hush No More, which is a national nonprofit that focuses on the hush topics. We've been partners for years, and this is our first major event that we get to do together. Introducing her, we have 2-time World Navy boxing champion, Steve USS Cunningham. Very, very honored to have his presence with our stage and hearing his story.
Yeah.
We then have myself. That's going to be my introduction to the community, and I'm not speaking on the last 20 years.
Yeah.
We're just going to speak on the last 2.5 of me understanding that I'm an alcoholic. And I have been 900 plus days sober there, Brad.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that.
All right. Yes.
Listen, when we get to November 5th, I'll be 5 days from 1,000.
5 days.
But also talking about how I just uncovered that I'm bipolar with manic episodes. Something I never knew about until last year.
Wow.
And I had an episode, but it was because of my team. Yeah. When they had that episode, they were like, "Oh, wait a minute, there's something wrong, bipolar," and that's been the game changer. And conducting that fireside chat with me will be CEO of Student Veterans of America, Mr. Jared Lyon, who is a mentor of mine and an amazing champion for student veterans around the country and the globe. And our host is Miss Marja Simone, who's a veteran as well. She is an international best-selling author. And to have all of these wonderful, integrous, amazing individuals who, and they're geniuses, come on board to say, hey, we want to help support this conversation. Means a lot. So November 5th is a big day for us.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for that moment and that time. That's what's next.
It's awesome.
Currently.
Mm-hmm.
But stay tuned because we are up to some big things.
Yeah.
And we're going to make some amazing splashes, not only in the community here in Pittsburgh, we're going across the country and the world.
That's great. That's great. And so if people want to follow that and be a part of your events, be a part of the mission and see what's next, how can they get in touch with you? How can they stay in touch with Colorful Voices?
Outstanding. Well, you can follow us. My website is www.timothymjones.com.
Okay.
It's a very difficult website.
That's a long one. That's a long URL to get.
It's a long URL.
Yeah.
But as long as you can remember the name, timothymjones.com is my website. Our social media handles are at Timothy_M_Jones on Instagram. Okay. Facebook, Timothy M. Jones, Pittsburgh. You will see a beautifully bald-headed milk chocolate man.
Like this man here.
This man right here. this face right here. And you'll all be able to find that on X and all social medias, Timothy_M_Jones.
Okay. Very good. Well, I really appreciate you coming on today and talking about your story, talking about Colorful Voices. I'm really excited to see where you're going next. If anybody got me fired up, this has been to date the most exciting of the interviews I think in recent memory. So
nice.
I'm very excited and honored that you came here to be on the show.
It's my honor, Brad, and I told you this because I'm going to tell you this again.
Yeah,
and I'm going to tell everybody here: get ready. Yeah. We are part of the healing generation. And that we are healing in action, and we're going to get ready because we are so needed in this world. We are so needed. And this is a time for us to get out there and show the world how much we love them, how much we love everybody in the world. And by healing in action together, the sky's the limit. I am a true embodiment of that, and I'm an example of that, and I'm excited, and I have to say thank you to you. You didn't know.
Yeah.
Just by living your life, by doing everything that has gotten you here, that you helped to find me. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. You're doing great things, and I think we're gonna leave it there. For anything else that we should cover that you didn't get to?
Oh no.
Yeah, good.
Oh, all right. Huge wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So the one thing we didn't get to, as promised, you asked me.
Yeah.
What would be my wrestling name?
I did.
So as promised, here it is. I would be the Gladiator.
Nice. Yeah.
I am the gladiator.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
To hear where you've come from and what you're doing, you are a gladiator. Absolutely.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
There we go.
All right. Well, with that, we'll leave it there. And like I said, you were doing so many great things, and that's really what we do here. We like to hear stories of people doing great things. So with that, this has been the Fired Up Podcast, encouraging you to stay 10X and stay fired up and do something great. Cause when my crew